Your stock price is still at 11,000 by end of this decade, right?
Yes, I'm fine-tuning it every day. So between 10 and 11, yes.
10 and 11. That's crazy. If I honestly see that, I will buy you a coffee if that happens.
Very good. But here's
If
the
that
thing with the
happens,
stock price.
actually.
I'm like, the interesting debate is not the long term. It's very easy. Even 12 months, in my opinion, is very easy. Like my conviction that Tesla is above 1,000, and I'm not talking about fair value, not about my model, but I'm talking about the actual stock price. I think the odds of the actual stock price being over 1,000 in the next 12 months is incredibly high. So for me, the
Really?
question is more, what happens in between? So will we see the stock going sideways or down in the next 3 months, for example? Because Tesla will not get to any scale that convinces investors in the next 3 months. They will test and dabble around and do certain things, right? They will stay in Austin. They will not get into multi-city within 3 months. So the question is, will we inevitably see decline or sideways stock movement short term? Because if that's the case, you could reallocate to NVIDIA or something just for 90 days.
Right.
But I have to think more about it. I will come out with a video probably because I have a little model. I think the initial scaling of Tesla will actually be faster than expected. Then it hits a plateau. Then it sidelines. And then maybe it goes faster than expected. Why? Because Tesla launched with 10 or something, or 20. No one knows exactly.
Yeah, 10.
And of course, they were undershooting. You basically go in cautiously. You have a certain level of capability, right? That you can handle X number of robotaxis with your current system, but you don't know what that X is. So you go in with way less than X. Then you figure out, well, now we figured it out. Actually, we can handle 200 or something. That's why I think they will scale very rapidly towards a higher number in the next 4 weeks, towards 100 or something. Because they will test out what that original X actually is. The original thing that was baked in based on what they already can do. So they undershot, they can quickly scale to that. But then they hit the ceiling because that's what they actually can do. You know what I mean? Like there is an implicit quick scale just to fill up the existing capability. And then they need to actually improve all their stuff. And then it slows down. And then we figure out how fast they can improve. And I don't know the answer. So my bet would be fast scaling very rapidly in the next few weeks, then hit some sort of ceiling that could be 50, it could be 100, could be 200, could be 500, but there will be some ceiling. And then they have to grind through it.
If they reach 200, 300, 400, 500, they still need to have the safety guy on the passenger seat. Because that's a lot of, because I don't think that's even
well, they're
scalable.
hiring right now. Did you see it on X? So they're definitely hiring very aggressively, these people.
So that's a good sign. They're going to increase it, but then to what level are they going to increase it with these people?
Yeah, and will they increase it, the stock price? Like if they just say, oh, we scale it to 50, now to 100, now to 200, but with these people on the driver's seat, I mean, Dan Ives says, or Herbert, I have my number of 2,000 robotaxis as the inflection point, because in my mind, that would be roughly 5% of free cash flow of Tesla coming in through robotaxi.
That'd be amazing.
So for me, that's the inflection point. Other people say it's the size of scaling of the geo-fenced area. Can they quickly scale and expand that area? Other people say they need to be multi-city, which I agree, that would be huge. So, and Dan Ives says something very interesting. So Herbert asked him, how many Tesla investors, institutional investors, are willing to take risk to buy the stock before they have proven to improve cash flow significantly? And Dan said, well, before AI, it was 30-70. So 30% of institutional Tesla investors were like visionary, and 70% say, show me the cash flows. And he says this has switched.
Wow.
Because it's AI crazy world. And so everyone wants Tesla to succeed. Everyone hopes that they succeed, and everyone is willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, but not randomly. So this was very interesting info from Dan Ives. So I think we could be very close to a massive run-up, but we could be very close to a tactical mini run-up of 10 to 20%. This is my feeling because of this quick clip. So to, let's say, 360. 370, 380, but not much more, very short term, like 4 or 6 weeks. Then we hit some ceiling. And then the next big run up could actually happen if they scale to 2 cities, to Dallas or whatever, San Antonio, like something close to Austin. And that could happen in the next 3 months, in my opinion. And that could lead to a bigger run up than people think. So that's why I'm not like, I'm a little hesitant. I think short term, the stock has actually more upside than people think, 10 to 20% maybe. But then there will be some quiet period, like of a month or two, because how can it go up from there? Probably not. And then the question is, when do they actually expand into multi-city and hit this 2000? And that, I don't know the answer. But in a best case, this can definitely happen within 3 months. In a worst case, that could take 6 to 9 months.
For the past few earnings reports, even though they were a miss, the stock didn't do anything. It was more what the earnings call was. I think what's the biggest impact is going to be, yes, we got robotaxis already on the road. Yes, we have cars delivering themselves from the production line to the customer's house, going outside the geofence zone, which should tell all of us that Tesla has the capabilities to go multi-city if they really want to, but they're taking it, safety step first. I think earnings call is going to be very important in this Q2, depending I don't think there's going to be much guidance on the robotaxi stuff. If there is, I'd be surprised.
Well, but they will. But I agree it's going to be very important because it's in the middle of robotaxi scale. So it's in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something. So they will then start asking, how is it going? And there will be lots of data. There will be 4 weeks of robotaxi data. So it's going to be very important. They will know what's the next step. They can report how many robotaxis. They can report how people like it, how many incidents. They can talk about Austin expansion and they can talk about city expansion. So, I mean, this is going to be high suspense.
Yeah.
If they just lowball everything, then the stock drops. It's like, well, we can't say, it's just a little bit. Let's see, we take it slow. It drops. But if Elon says, surprise, San Antonio is coming tomorrow, then
that'll be insane. That would be insane if they get a move at that pace. They could move at that pace.
I mean, he could say something like, we are in negotiations with San Antonio for a September launch or something.
Yeah, potentially that could be the case. I don't know. I'm more looking forward to Q4 earnings call because that's going to be, you already have 6 months of data. You know how many cars you have or robotaxis on the road. You know how much it's going to cost the customer to go from point A to point B based on cost per mile. And as well as what the base fare is going to be.
Like, I do believe that investors are more visionary at this point. I don't think they care too much about these details. I think for them, they have basically the same mindset as I do at this point, which is surprising. The institutionals, 70%. I think they're going to say, I don't need numbers. I need to see that we have multi-city unlock with no safety drivers. I need to have conviction that this shit actually works now. I think at that point, it's totally game over. This thing goes to 600, 700 in very short order.
I can see that happening.
So it's more like what they say about porn, right? You don't need to have all the metrics to figure out if something is porn. It's like this old saying, you know it when you see it. Because there are these things, how do you know it's not a romance movie? How do you know it's not this and that? They can be naked too. And it's like, bro, I know it's very hard to figure out the metrics, but you know it when you see it. Is that a romance scene or is it porn? And the same thing is with robotaxi. Like, I mean, it will be obvious, right? At some point, it's like, okay, fine, this shit works. And this is not clear now, right? If you just look, it's like, well, there's a safety driver, whatever. It's a tiny little area. Of course, it doesn't necessarily work. There's no proof it actually works. There's no proof it doesn't work. It's just not clear. But at the moment where they have all of Austin and then San Antonio and everything in between, and then add Atlanta and have scaled to 1,000 robotaxis in like 9 months, everyone's going to say, dude, it's game over.
That's true. How many robotaxis do you think Tesla will have on the road in the US by end of the year?
I have zero idea, but in my expected case, 2,000.
2,000? Sheesh. I'm thinking around 1,000. But if we can get 2,000, if we can get anything about 500 plus by end of the year, I think that's going to do tremendous wonders to the stock and to, because what is that? If it's 500.
Well, I always said like at 2,000 deployed, stock is above 1,000. But I think my 2,000 is nice, but maybe other things are more important than the absolute number. Maybe it's multi-city, it's large maps, it's no driver on the passenger. But these numbers are also not independent. Of course, if you do that, you are above 1,000 somehow, right? So it's whatever it is, both things can be true.